Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the GREYS Market SHIV, a heavy fighter. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review. Thank you WinRar42, Heinrich, Cypher1, Seraph Omega, and What124 for joining me on today's review of the SHIV, the Cutlass, ripped apart and put back together with many other parts of different ships. We're going to take a look at exactly what ships it's put together with. That top turret is a quad remote turret from their Hurricane, which is quite funny because the one on the Hurricane isn't remote. And it's a manned turret, which means they modified the hell out of it and made it work remote for this ship. And then you have two size 4 ballistic Gatling guns from a redacted source thought to be the Perseus, but we'll see when that ship comes out in late November. And then you have the VTOL engines repurposed as rear main thrusters taken from the Valkyrie, which looks pretty great on this ship, to be honest, but they do not VTOL. There is no rotation. There are only rear thrust and, of course, forward thrust when trying to brake. And then you have engine specializing in long-range travel from the Freelancer on each side of the middle of the ship, which, again, it looks really good. If you said this is the Razor Crest, I would probably believe you in terms of Star Citizen and not trademarking Disney, right? So let's take a look at this ship. It is a $135 war bond or $150 store credit if you were to go ahead and buy it currently while it's available for pledge. Now, it's not available in game yet, but it probably will be in the next few months. And then if you go ahead and take a look at its claim time, it does have an 18-minute claim time, or if you were to expedite it, it is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Definitely not a terrible claim time, but also not the greatest either. You do have a total of 3,882 burst damage per second if you're combining all the guns that come stock on here. If you were to take a look at each individual, you have 1,975 on that top turret and 1,907 on the side guns, the ballistic Gatlings, because you have two size 4 breakneck ballistic Gatling guns and two size 3 Tormentor laser repeaters. Now, they are specific to this ship. You haven't seen these guns before the SHIV. The SHIV is literally pieced apart, like at a salvage yard, kind of like what I'm kind of sitting at right now, which you'll see in just a moment. You have 8 size 3 Arrestor 3 missiles and 8 size 2 Tempest 2 missiles as the pilot as well. Overall, you have an amazing amount of firepower, and I will tell you right now, if you are in that pilot seat, you have control over all of those guns. Now, only if you have that co-pilot seat unoccupied. If that co-pilot seat's occupied, they control the top turret, so it gives you a little bit more coverage around you when that seat is occupied. But as the pilot, you can definitely fly this ship solo and take very good use of all of its firepower. You do have one size 2 shield generator outputting 4,130 bubble shield, which is okay. It's specifically classed as a heavy fighter, but 4,130 bubble shield almost screams medium to me. And then you do have 34,300 ship HP, which, looking at the breakdown here, the critical part is a little bit, scary, because it looks like this ship is going to be somewhat fragile and might pop pretty quickly. We're going to test that here in the combat portion here in just a moment. Now, you do have a top speed of 219 SCM with a 479 forward boost, a 230 backwards boost, and a top nav speed of 1,175. This thing is really fast. It is pretty fast. I mean, for a heavy fighter, 219 SCM is really good. If you were to modify the Gladius, you can get it under that speed. I mean, this is matching specific speeds of something better than a heavy fighter, right? And then you have a pitch yaw roll of 50, 42, 137, and boosted 60, 50, 164. This is classing with a medium fighter like the Hornet. Somewhat better, actually, and that's really surprising. This does not feel like heavy in terms of, maneuverability or speed. It feels like a medium fighter, but maybe it's because of the armor or the shield. No, that's also classing as a medium fighter. So I think the classification, I would put this more in the range of a medium than a heavy, and then you're probably sitting about right. But then again, that's just a title, right? Fly it however you want. It does have 48 flares and 5 noise, typical across the board. And then you have 32 SCU of hydrogen fuel and 1.65 SCU of quantum fuel. Now you got to be asking yourself, what does this ship fit into that grid? What can you put in the back door? Take a look right here. The MTC, no go. You ain't fitting the MTC. The ROC, you can definitely fit the ROC, but you do not want to back it in. If you back it in, you're not getting to the pilot seat because you only got that one entrance on that rear ramp. So you have to drive it forward. Make sure if you have a buddy with you that they're already in the ship, and then you can get right on out and get in the pilot seat, go get into your ROC once you land and drive it right back out. And it fits great, fits perfect. And then you can also fit the other ground vehicles like around that same size, including, which is quite funny, the Cyclone series. I drove a Cyclone right on up, but guess what? You aren't going to be able to get out of your Cyclone. It's going to be a nightmare trying to. So if you have a Cyclone that you want to load up, make sure the driver stays in their seat. And that just might be what works out best for you. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior of the ship. Right now, I'm on the outside. As you can see, this thing is ripped apart, thrown back together, taped up. You would think this came straight from Drake, but nope, it comes from the new manufacturer, GREYS market. I love the role, the play there, GREYS market. You know what I mean? It's the gray market. Well, it might be a new, trader out there in the verse showing their face. So we won't just have Wicklow, but we'll have the GREYS market making an appearance in games soon with all sorts of different kind of thrown together weapons, ships, items, which is going to be quite interesting, especially with Nyx coming around the corner in less than a month. That's truly awesome. So here we are at the only entrance of this ship, entry, exit. This is it right here. I'm going to say though, no components pass on this. It does have a gold standard, as in you do have all your switches and everything working, but no components pass. You can't access any of the components, which I'm actually quite surprised by with it being a new ship, but it is the way it is at this current time. But otherwise, this is where you're going to fit up to 32 SCU of cargo, which is quite interesting. You can put 32 SCU of cargo right here against this right side wall, which fits really well, and you can walk right by when you do it. It can fit a 32 SCU box by itself or a multitude of other items right here on this grid, which looks pretty good. So as you walk through here, you're going to see that there's quite a noticeable similarity to the Cutlass, because this is the entirety of the Cutlass hull, except for this right here is where you'd have that side door entrance. So this would be punched out, and on this side as well, it would be punched out, and there would be a door here, and it isn't. It's just not there. Yeah, and then you have a relay station right here. So you got your relays, you got your fire extinguishers, but you don't have a gold standard pass. There's no way to get to your components. I was actually really surprised by that, because it's a brand new ship. And then when you make your way right on over here, you do have that first fire extinguisher on the left, which is nice. You do have light control. So as you can see, this is the lights off state, which I could just finish the review like that if you want, or we can just turn them right back on, and you can see there's quite a bit of good lighting in here. We'll go ahead and open this up right here. This is the bathroom, and it's currently occupied, so we'll go ahead and close that. And then you do have 2 beds here where you can actually bed log out. When you're in the bed, look to your bottom left corner, not to your front left. Your bottom left corner, you'll see an option to go ahead and exit the bed. Hold your F and hit log out, and you'll be able to do so. Right here, this is an engineering terminal for when engineering is in the game. And then you have a nice looking weapons locker here with 2 rifles, 3 handguns, and a large spot for a railgunner rocket launcher, which is pretty nice. Gotta love that. And a relay station here. Now behind you, you do have 2 storage areas, which you can go ahead and open up, and each one of them holding 105,000, which is really good. Gotta love that. The micro SCU is a nice little area here, and you'll be able to hold quite a bit. No suit lockers, no ejection areas here. This is pretty much it. It is a Drake body overall. It is nice though that you do have a bathroom, which I'm going to open it one more time. As you can see, come on out. Come on, and come on out. And then you do have a bucket. I don't want to get too close. I'm pretty sure he didn't flush his bucket. But you do have a bucket, and this is where the turret would normally be for a Cutlass Black or whatnot. So this is what I've always been asking for. Replace this thing with a remote turret, and you're good to go. And they did that, and they threw a bucket in there. Really, really nice. Now here is your co-pilot seat. This is where you're going to control the gun on top if you want it to be occupied. Definitely, you know, just as similar as the Cutlass. And here's the pilot seat. We'll go ahead and hop in really quick. I'll show you a good old view of the area. Like what you can see out here, you got your A-frame, you know, structure here. Your A-pillar, structure, kind of blocking a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's not bad at all. And your power system's a little wonky, but otherwise it's a Cutlass body. It's got great potential. It's honestly extremely powerful. So again, as I say this, expect this ship to change over the next few months, over the next year. It's probably gonna have some stat changes because right now it's pretty powerful, probably a little bit too powerful. So that is definitely a possibility of happening. Now let's go ahead and do a quick sound test so you can see what this thing sounds like. And then we'll move on to some PvP. As you can see, this ship can definitely handle itself as what is classed a heavy fighter, but it's still pretty fragile. If you're not careful and you get hit too much on that body, you'll pop pretty quick. So make sure you're moving around a lot, and if you lose your shield too fast and you start taking a lot of damage, it's probably advisable to get the heck out of there. And yes, I show PvP footage and not PvE because typically a player is going to be a lot harder than in PvE situation. So this thing in PvE would do just fine, solo or with a crew. Do I recommend with a crew? Anytime there's a turret that helps give you an advantage around your ship, I'm always thinking with a crew, it's going to give you a better time because, I mean, well, depending on your crew member, but of course, you're going to have the advantage with the crew and not without it because you have a lot more range, right? But you can definitely solo this thing in a fight like we did with the last F8 fight, going solo against the solo F8 with no turret gunner. You're able to output quite a bit of damage, but you have to make sure your maneuverability is on par or outmaneuvers whatever you're fighting. Because if you were to solo this thing against something like, say, an Arrow, a Gladius, a Wolf, or even, you know, some of the heavier ships that have some or same or better maneuverability, you're going to be in for a lot of trouble without that turret active because then you don't have the range to stop someone from getting around you. So with that, this ship for me is a 84 out of 100 if you don't have it manned. If you have it manned, it's an 86 out of 100 because only a 2-point difference, but I mean, it can do quite a bit. This thing can hold a variety of vehicles. This thing can hold up to 32 SU of cargo. It has a decent amount of fuel. It has a decent amount of firepower. I'd say an absolutely great amount of firepower. It's a fantastic ship, and I'm super excited for this to be here, and it just looks hilarious. With that, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the GREYS Market SHIV down in the comments below. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being amazing, and you all have a great one, and I will see you all in the next one. Because you have two size 4 brake nut